Hello, my name is Connor Malayson for Con4Tutorials, and this is the second part of my Game Maker tutorial. Now, in the first part, I introduced you to what we were going to be creating, and in this part, I'm going to be going over a thing called sprites, and you may or may not know what this is, but since this is a beginner's tutorial, I'm going to take this one step at a time and tell you every little thing. So let's X out of that and open up a fresh Game Maker. So we have new game here. What are sprites? Well, to understand what sprites are, you first need to understand what objects are. Objects are, well, they're objects. They are programmable instances that you program to move around, bounce off of things, and stuff like that. Now, a sprite is what the object looks like. So, for example, I'll make an object here. I'll, program it to do some stuff, program it to move right. And so now it's programmed, but there's no look to it. So then you'd have to create a sprite. And this is a sprite. See, that's what I'm going to assign this I'm going to assign the sprite to this object right here. So there we go. I've assigned object 0 to sprite 0. Now if I make a room, I can add these objects in. And this is the object that I programmed to go right. And I just assigned the sprite to the object. And don't worry, I'm going to explain everything, all that I'm doing, or all that I just did over the course of this tutorial. Okay. But first, let's create the basic sprites for our game. So, to create a sprite, I'll just delete this one. To create a sprite, there are 3 ways to create a sprite. Actually, 4 ways. The first way, the way that I usually use, is this little Pac-Man icon up here. You click on it, and the sprite creator window opens. The second way is to right-click on this folder here in our hierarchy and click Create Sprite. Same thing happens. And from the hierarchy, you can also right-click and delete sprites. The third way is to go to Resources and click Create Sprite. It also has a Pac-Man symbol. The fourth way is from the Object Creator window. There is a little thing right here that says Sprite. And you can click New from there. And if there is a sprite, and it automatically assigns that sprite to this object, which is quite nifty. And you can just click Edit from there if you've already created one. Okay, so now that we've got that settled, let's create a sprite. And in this naming dialog, I will type in player and click Load Sprite. And I get to search through all of my directories in my computer and look for an image file to assign to my sprite. I've already got these files created, or this file created, this player object. And you can't see it very well because the background is white of this, but it is just a white circle. Okay? And I'm not going to go into Edit Sprite because I think I'll do that in a different tutorial maybe. Let us create a new one. And we'll name this one Enemy. And actually, I think I am going to go into the Edit Sprite because I have not saved a sprite for Enemy. So we're going to load this sprite player up. And click Edit Sprite because Enemy is really just the player sprite, but it's black. And if we go to the Images tab up here, this is the sprite editor, by the way. If we go over to the Images tab up here, we will see a whole bunch of different modifiers we can put onto this sprite. We can make it blurry, we can sharpen it, make an outline if you have Pro, colorize it, all these sorts of things. But what we're going to do here is go to intensity, because we want to make this black. And the way to set that is value. As you can see, if I move it down, it turns black. There we go. So now I have a black sprite and a white sprite. The third sprite that I'm going to make is the border sprite. And that's the border that you saw around the game window that the black sprites bounced off of. Border. Edit sprite. And instead of loading up a sprite first, we're just going to go right into the editing. We're going to click this new right here, and we get to set the size of the sprite. We will go for the width 640 and for the height 480, because that is the default height and width of a room, and it is in fact the height and width that we're going to be using for the room. So I'm just going to make a quick sprite here. I'm not going to go over exactly how to do it. If you ever used Paint, then this is quite similar. It's a bit more advanced, but it's similar. Okay, black border. There we go. And those are the basic sprites that we need to create for our game. In the next video, we're going to be going over making objects for our sprites. Thank you for watching.